Well, Steve is the older man by 5 years, so he definitely need to go out and establish himself early and win this championship. You don't know if you're going to get a next opportunity.
Here's round number 1, scheduled for 12. The IBF Cruiserweight Championship on the line. And this should be a contrast of styles as we see Wlodarczyk come out strongly, firing lefts and rights. And you can see the reach advantage, even though they were both listed at 6'1". Cunningham appears to be the taller fighter, and he's good at fighting from long range, Glenn.
Yeah, definitely. Steve kind of using his jab. And, you know, I thought it was going to be the reverse, where Steve's trying to bring it to this guy, but Steve is actually being the boxer.
Good left hand finds a shot to the chin, getting home by Wlodarczyk. Cunningham counters with a combination to the body.
The Hablo is certainly taking this fight like he's trying to get Steve out of here.
Both these guys have been hungry for this title shot for a long time. Cunningham was stiffed a few times, had a mandatory set up, couldn't get a fight for about a year. Trying to stay busy in the gym from the great fighting city of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And you see the hand speed of Cunningham, very impressive here in round number 1.
Certainly. I like the fact that he's using his jab. This guy is kind of crowding him, he's trying to stalk him, and he's using the jab, he's stepping around. Throw a right hand, that's kind of throw him off balance a little bit.
Right, nearly close to the head of Cunningham. And Cunningham able to get away, showing good head movement, good footwork so far, but Wlodarczyk trying to put pressure on here in the first round. Not much of a feeling out process here as they engage for the IBF championship.
Not at all. I mean, you know, these guys, they're seasoned fighters. They've been in a lot of fights. They realize they're not going to waste any time and feel each other out. They're trying to get championship.
For a lanky, tall fighter, Cunningham appears to be extremely strong in the upper body. Wlodarczyk got a left hand home that backed up Cunningham briefly, but he fires right back with a couple of jabs. And he's aiming that jab right in the middle of the chest, which is a good piece of advice early on in the fight.
Yeah, certainly. He's using his jab nicely, using it to the body, using it to the head. He just thrown himself off balance a few times when he threw that right hand, because he leaned down to the left side with that right hand. I don't particularly care for that. I would like to see him lean, but not so far away.
Quick right hand in behind the jab by Cunningham that time. Scores as Wlodarczyk tries to cut the ring off and backs up Cunningham against the ropes. Not much damage done in that exchange. Cunningham comes out firing once again. Inside 20 seconds to go. Round number 1. Looks like it's going to be a good one. Good contrasting styles, making for a good fight here. And a tough round to score here to open things up, Glenn.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, you know, the way how I see it, neither guy take charge of the fight. They're still just doing what they have to do to establish themselves. I would say this one an even round.
I'll go ahead and give that one to Cunningham. He was a little bit more relentless throughout, trying to establish his hand speed and his footwork. I thought Wlodarczyk got in a couple of good heavy shots, and just a question of taste as we look at a replay of whether you prefer. And you see that
that's
left hand back up Cunningham.
Yeah, the right hand where he leans away, throw that right hand, that's what I don't like, because it brings too much weight to one side of his body and keep throwing him off balance, especially when he get hit.
Wlodarczyk landed fewer punches in that round, but perhaps the more effective ones. And Cunningham did establish his speed and his ability to move around the ring, his maneuver ability, and also established a pretty good jab.
Yeah, certainly. You know, these guys are experienced fighter, good quality fighting, and looking forward to the second round. It should be an exciting fight. Great matchup between the two guys. Good skills. They're on even grounds.
This round 2 scheduled for 12, IBF Cruiserweight Championship, which is vacant right now. It's going to be filled by one of these two warriors in the ring. Wlodarczyk pressing the action and pressing forward. And Cunningham once again showing us his good footwork and his quick jab. For a guy with 10 knockouts from 19 wins, Cunningham does appear to have some power and some upper body strength, Glenn.
Yeah, Cunningham is trying to establish himself using the jab. He's certainly the boxer of the two. He's trying to land body shots, which is always a good idea. This guy is stalking him. He's a little bit stronger, and he's trying to take away, discourage him by just staying close. but Cunningham is doing the right thing by getting space with his legs and using the jab.
He's going to have to keep that distance to keep Wlodarczyk off him and avoid that pressure punching. Wlodarczyk's punches all appear to have some steam. But Cunningham doing a good job of showing Wlodarczyk a lot of different angles for the taller fighter.
Yeah, certainly. He's not being a stationary target. He's moving around. He's throwing punches. You know, and this is a good thing about a guy moving backwards and using his hands at the same time. It's great boxing skills.
Pace was very fast in round number 1. Starting to quicken here in the second round. Scheduled for 12.
Yeah, this is a better round for Steve. He established the distance. He's taking control of this front round, kind of taking control of the fight, kind of have Diablo where we want him at the end of his punches, and he's throwing combination and step back.
Not necessarily landing. He might need to cut down the distance between himself and Wlodarczyk as he's in a defensive posture to a degree and yet trying to establish his offense here in the early going. Good right hand that time, just missed.
Nice.
A nice follow-up to end that
shot.
exchange by Cunningham. Wlodarczyk continues to press as Cunningham in an awkward position, and Cunningham wisely, showing his ring experience, holds on.
He's punching on the break.
Tony Weeks, the third man in the ring. From the United States of America, Cunningham again with the jab. Tough to keep these guys that come forward constantly off you.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, if you let the guy come forward and don't get any result when he gets there, like he's doing here, he's tying him up. He's making himself small, you know, take away punching room when he get close and then establish a distance again. Go back to the jab and straight right hands.
Coming towards the end of round number 2, thus far a good round for Steve USS Cunningham, but as I say that, he gets nailed by a shot by Wlodarczyk and then counters back with a right hand of his own.
Yeah, certainly. This is a good exchange, the end of the round.
The battle line's clearly established as we come to the close of round number 2. Good round overall for Steve USS Cunningham.
Yeah, certainly. I believe he won that round. Established himself a little bit better in this round.
Hometown hero, Krzysztof Wlodarczyk. The judges hail from Germany, one from Poland and one from the United States of America. Rich Cicchetti in the corner. Rich has been around a long time. You see some action here from round number 2. And the finishing blows by Wlodarczyk may be the more telling of the punches that have been landed so far.
Yeah, certainly. Cunningham is giving, you know, he's creating space, which is what he want to do because he throw a little bit wider punches. He don't throw them as crisp as I would like to see him throw them, but he's getting the job done. I believe he won the last round, and we see what the third round have.
I have Cunningham up 2-0 so far. That first one, as you said, Glenn, could have been a toss-up. You scored it even. But a difficult task for Cunningham is if it does go to the scorecards, he's going to have to be extremely impressive to win over the judges in Wlodarczyk's hometown of Warsaw.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the thing about fighting in a guy hometown, anything the guy do, the crowd reacts, and sometimes the judges, they get influenced by that.
You got to get down. You got to stay down.
Tony Weeks telling the corner people of Wlodarczyk to get off the ring apron. That could cause a disqualification, actually, while the round's in progress.
Certainly, in the IBF rules, if you get on the ring open, the fight is over. So they got to be careful what they're doing over there.
It's the warning from Tony Weeks. Good right hand, meanwhile, lands to the body by Steve USS Cunningham, who's dictating the pace of this fight with his hand and foot speed.
Yeah, definitely. Steve is moving around nicely. See him tie up there, and he's able to tie the guy up and smother shots. Get distance again. So
Wlodarczyk willing to walk through some of these punches, though, trying to land a home run ball.
Well,
big right hand.
Yeah, definitely. You know, Wlodarczyk is a guy that want to fight in close. You know, so you gotta keep the distance. So long as you have distance between him and Cunningham, he's uncomfortable. He's not going to throw that many punches.
Cunningham appearing to pick up confidence as his bout is making its way to the midway point of round number 3, fighting with a little bit more bravado and throwing some accurate punches. That lead right hand has been especially effective for him.
Yes, certainly. As soon as the guy step in too close, you give him the right hand and tie him up.
He's able to win the exchanges and then move away. Showing a lot of ring savvy so far, and ring generalship is Steve USS Cunningham.
Certainly, the guy, he come in with a game plan and he's following it through.
The stoppage, tape on the gloves perhaps. Mouthpiece. And again, the lead right hand by Cunningham to open the exchange. Doing a good job of tying up Wlodarczyk when they get inside, and continues to throw punches, which is something that sometimes boxers forget to do.
Yeah, certainly. You know, he's a weaker guy on the inside. So once they get on the inside, he tie him up, walk him forward, and get some distance, and then establish himself again. Which he's fighting a smart fight. He's fighting what he do. He's following his game plan.
And nailed by a left hook that time by Wlodarczyk, to the delight of the Warsaw crowd. In on the infighting, Cunningham wisely tying up. And Wlodarczyk trying to find punching room, and when he does, he has a hammer. That was a sledgehammer left hand that he just about got in, grazed the chin of Steve Cunningham.
Yeah, he's a strong guy. You see how he's throwing some serious punches, but not throwing enough of them. When you have distance like they do now, you don't do anything.
10 seconds to go, round number 3. Another apparently good round for Steve USS Cunningham. And at the bell, a vicious exchange, but Steve Cunningham executing his game plan nearly to perfection so far, and able to ward off the pressing attack of Krzysztof Wlodarczyk.
Yeah, certainly. I like what Cunningham is doing. He's fighting on the outside and tying him up when he get too close, where he's uncomfortable, and get separation again and go back to the jab and try to throw the overhand right.
You see the combination work of Steve USS Cunningham. Wlodarczyk with good short hooks, both right and left-handed, trying to close out that exchange and do some damage. Wasn't able to really land that shot right on the chin of USS Cunningham. I gave that round to Steve Cunningham. I think he's doing a good job so far, establishing the pace of the fight, keeping Wlodarczyk off him while landing effective combinations.
Yeah, certainly. I have 2 rounds for Cunningham and 1 round even. We'll see what happened in the 4th round.
This one's scheduled for 12. The vacant IBF Cruiserweight Championship on the line. Steve Cunningham again with a fast pace to open up round number 4. That lead right hand, he's starting to throw it with a little bit more of the bad intentions that Mike Tyson used to use. Going in combination, tries an uppercut up the middle, and dancing away from the danger zone of Wlodarczyk's power. If there's been a knock on Wlodarczyk through his career, and he's been in against some tough European fighters, people say that he's a little bit too deliberate, that he needs to let his hands go with a bit more frequency and not be so careful to try and pick his spots.
Yeah, certainly. You can see him fighting a careful fight here. You know, he only throw punches when he's at a certain distance. He doesn't throw punches when he get in range, when he can't throw punches. He just throw punches only when he's leaning, when he's touching on you.
And interestingly, it's Cunningham that's using some good body work in the early stages of this fight. You would think Wlodarczyk would be compelled to try and go to the body of Cunningham, slow him down a little bit, and maybe cut the distance and be able to get inside, land some big blows.
Yeah, well, he's just trying to catch Cunningham in between punches. He's not trying to extend. He's not trying to take control of the fight. He's not trying to be the man that dictate the round. He's trying to be a counter puncher.
And he is there, effectively.
Yeah, definitely. There's a good punch right there.
Short left hand inside. As you said, Glenn, he has a tremendous advantage when the two guys get inside, and Cunningham, obviously aware of that, continues to try and tie up every time they come together.
Yeah, that would be a smart way to do it. You know, you have a guy that only punches at a certain distance. When you get in that distance, you want to interrupt him.
Can one shot like that win you a round if it doesn't necessarily buckle or rock the guy? Because Cunningham so far has thrown a tremendous volume of punches.
Yeah, well, it certainly all depends on who's judging the fight. I mean, again, you know, when you're fighting a guy hometown and the crowd reacts to everything you do, sometimes the judges get influenced. And that's why you got to take control of the fight when you're fighting overseas.
Inside a minute to go, round number 4. Pattern of this fight has been established early on. Cunningham using his range, using his hand speed, and moving around the ring. Doing a good job of keeping Krzysztof Wlodarczyk off him. Wlodarczyk occasionally with some spectacular stuff on the inside.
Yeah, certainly. Cunningham is doing the work. He's winning the fight so far. Throw a little low blow right there. And this guy only want to try and close the round to impress the judges. He's not doing the work he should do throughout the round.
Cunningham continuing to change angles and now effective with short punches on the inside. Weeks warning Cunningham not to get over enthusiastic about it and coming out of his breaks. And here's the end of round number 4. Another good round though for Steve USS Cunningham.
Definitely. I think Steve won that round. He did the work in the round. He established himself. And you know, the other guy's not doing anything. He's just basically just trying to stifle right there. He throws some inside shots. Nice uppercut that missed from Cunningham right there. Good uppercut that land right there. So Cunningham throwing and landing the better punches.
So far a boxing lesson. As I've got Cunningham winning all 4 rounds so far. I think you have it, Glenn, 3-0 and 1 even.
Yeah, I have the first round even, and I have Cunningham winning 3 rounds. So it's an interesting fight. Cunningham is winning the fight so far. He's doing the work, and I'm rewarding him.
Keddy very calm in the corner that you see on the left side of your screen with his instructions to Steve Cunningham. Has to feel that however schooled Cunningham is coming into this fight in terms of strategy, he's following it perfectly so far. Round 5 scheduled for 12. Wlodarczyk a little bit more urgency in his corner as they try to implore their fighter to come forward and maybe start landing some combinations.
Well, he's coming forward, but he's not throwing the punches. And that's what have him down so far. Cunningham is doing a very good job of throwing at the distance where he's comfortable and the other guy is uncomfortable.
Wlodarczyk tasting some leather as he tries to get in those power shots. A couple of good right hands so far in this round by Wlodarczyk. And that one could have been especially dangerous, Glenn, as for a rare change, Cunningham left himself wide open to that right hand. The jabs now backs up Cunningham.
Good punches, a nice exchange between both guys right there on the ropes.
Cunningham won't allow Wlodarczyk to put too much pressure on him though, and now he backs up Wlodarczyk.
I would really like to see him do more of that. You know, step to Wlodarczyk and throw combination and get him to back up.
Against the ropes, not necessarily the territory that Cunningham wants to be. You'd have to think this is Wlodarczyk's fight, and now Cunningham turns him around.
Nice little arm punch uppercut on the right side there by Cunningham.
That's interesting. He's been able to land some wide shots, Cunningham. Some short punches inside, and the uppercut's been effective, but you see the power of Wlodarczyk as he stuns Cunningham briefly here at the midway point of round number 5. Cunningham shaking it off. We're throwing that lead right hand quite frequently so far through the fight.
Oh, but if you look at Cunningham where he's carrying his left hand, you know, he's open for lead right hand all day. Just got to get in position and throw that punch.
Wlodarczyk pressing forward again. Tries to back up Cunningham against the ropes. Grazing right hand got through and not much else. Minute to go, round number 5. Impressed with the style of Steve USS Cunningham so far. Showing us a lot of versatility in his boxing ability.
Yeah, certainly. I just would prefer to see him pay a little more attention when he get close, because you know, you have Diablo throwing a few punches in there and landing because he's being careless. Nice body shot.
Just have to wonder if Cunningham could run out of gas in the later rounds of this fight. It's been a lightning quick pace set by Steve USS Cunningham so far. Thundering body shot that time by Wlodarczyk.
Yeah, Wlodarczyk is throwing strong punches. It's just like we see him throw more of them. You know, he's getting tied up by Cunningham when he get close, and he's not being busy enough for me.
Hasn't really gotten to the jab very often to try and work his way underneath this reach advantage that Cunningham's been enjoying throughout the fight. Good left hand that time gets through, and a short uppercut on the inside to close out the round. Perhaps enough to impress the judges.
Yeah, certainly impressed me with that closing, so I'm going to give him that round. He did a little better work in that round, and I will reward him for that.
like some of the gas was off the punches, the punching power of Steve USS Cunningham, as we mentioned, not necessarily a huge puncher, and you see Wlodarczyk very clever on the inside.
Yeah, certainly. And Steve, now he's starting to be a little more stationary. He's not moving quite as much as he was, getting different angles and punching. So, you know, Wlodarczyk is able to close the gap and throw little punches on the inside.
Might have been a turning point for Wlodarczyk in round number 5, as he finally caught up with Steve USS Cunningham, who was doing a great job in the first 4 rounds of the fight, keeping Wlodarczyk off him, keeping him at bay with the jab.
Yeah, certainly, he have to keep establishing himself with the jab and show different angles to keep Wlodarczyk off of him.
Steve Cunningham, the red trunks, white trim, and the colors of the US of A with the stars on his trunks. And Krzysztof Wlodarczyk in the dark blue trunks with the white trim. Round number 6, scheduled for 12. Vacant IBF Cruiserweight Championship at stake. Cunningham been waiting for this opportunity for the better side of a year. Saw a couple of fights fall out on him as he wanted to contend for the championship. He was the mandatory #1 contender in the IBF. Wlodarczyk comes in ranked number 2 and now comes forward with a big left hand. Trying to make a statement here in the middle rounds of this fight.
Yeah, certainly. He's closing the gap. He's getting where he's a little bit better, comfortable punching. He's landing a few punches, and Cunningham is allowing him to close that gap because he's not busy enough.
Will the early pace of Steve Cunningham come back to haunt him later on in this fight? That's the magic question right now as you get into the middle rounds. And some of that trench work that goes a long way towards deciding who's going to walk away with the title belt.
Yeah, definitely. I like when he try to turn his shoulder on the inside and get a couple of punches on the inside. Or tie the guy up, take away punching room from him.
Good left-handed uppercut by Steve USS Cunningham, countering off the ropes as we saw Wlodarczyk just posing in front of him. Another knock on his style and not throwing any punches.
Yeah, certainly. Nice overhand right.
Roundhouse shot. You can see who has the punching power. It's clearly Wlodarczyk as he goes to the body now and finally doubles up on that left hook.
Yeah, he's landing punches now. He's getting closer to Steve, and he's landing up some nice shots in this round.
Starting to get the sense this is going to be a good one, if it hasn't been already. Good fast pace in this fight. Wlodarczyk starting to come on. Final minute, round number 6 of this scheduled 12-rounder. Cunningham not as busy with the footwork, although he does rock it out of the corner with a nice combination.
Well, he's missing a lot of punches now. You know, he's throwing it off mark, and that's a sign of fatigue setting in. He's not as accurate as he was in the early rounds.
Making it a little easier for Wlodarczyk to counter. And Tony Weeks separates the fighters after the clinch in the center of the ring. Again, Cunningham trying to reestablish the jab. We come inside the final 30 seconds of round number 6. Wlodarczyk coming on and pressing him in the corner. And you can see a little confidence boost in Wlodarczyk, Glenn. The body language is definitely picking up as Wlodarczyk is starting to find a home for those short lefts and rights.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, he's coming with a game plan, and his game plan is working better for him now. And he have to have a lot of confidence coming off of that round. Another round I will give to him.
And I also gave that round to Wlodarczyk. You get to see some action from round number 6. We're at the midway point of this title fight for the IBF Cruiserweight Championship. And a strong left hand got through. Cunningham acknowledges, you hit me with a good shot on that one. And
nice right hand over the top.
Good looking crowd on hand tonight.
Yeah, certainly. And we have a king in the audience, so that's always exciting.
Always good to see royalty ringside. Mixed in with the hot babes as well. Get a look at the respective corners simultaneously. Wlodarczyk now looking a little bit more calm in his corner, and there appears to be less desperation in terms of the instructions he's being given. And Steve USS Cunningham exhibiting the tendencies of a solid pro, still very calm. I think he knows last couple of rounds were not his best. We'll see if he can reestablish the pace here in round number 7, past the midway point.
Certainly, he need to come out, use his leg, establish his jab and right hand behind it. A little more accuracy.
You always wonder when you see a boxer puncher like Steve USS Cunningham after he sets a very torrid pace early in the fight and then finds his opponent starting to catch up with him, if he's going to be able to find a second win and reestablish himself and be able to show that same ring movement and generalship that worked so well for him in the first 4 rounds.
Well, you know, one of the things that he has to do, he has to calm himself down and kind of go back and focus on what was working earlier in the fight and try to focus on that and go back and capture that and establish himself again.
You can see the distance closing as Wlodarczyk continues to pour in with big, heavy hooks, both left and right-handed, and suddenly Cunningham's jab is not landing as frequently, and that was very effective for him early.
Yeah, definitely. You know, he's throwing a lot of hard punches when you don't have to throw every punch hard. You could throw some punches set up. You throw a nice body shot there. But, you know, he could use his jab in situations like this. He should be using his jab and trying to set up right hands.
You can't blame Cunningham if the pace slows a little bit as boxers take a little bit of a breather, but no such luck for Cunningham. He gets nailed with a right hand. Neither fighter's been down in this fight. Neither fighter appears to be marked.
There's a lot of good shots land, but you know, you always land with the guy going away. You know, no punch land with the guy with the kind of impact where both guys stepping into it.
Wlodarczyk was strong early and looks like he might be getting stronger as the fight moves on.
As he land a good body shot in the corner.
Cunningham does not belong on the ropes. Every time he's been on the ropes, with rare exception, he's found himself on the short end of the exchange. A quick left hook on the inside, also outstanding by Krzysztof Wlodarczyk.
Well, you know, these are two seasoned pros fighting for the championship. There's a lot of good things going on there. But, you know, these guys, after watching this fight at the end of the night, they're going to look at things that they can do better.
Wlodarczyk's showing a little bit more of a contemporary American style than the standard European style that you normally see, Glenn, where a guy just stands squared up right in front of his opponent. He could ill afford to do that against a guy with the hand speed and the movement of Cunningham, but I'm impressed with the way he's composed himself, Wlodarczyk, in this fight.
Yeah, certainly. You know, he's keeping his hands up. He's using his legs to get in position and get where he's comfortable and start punching. And he's doing a good job of it. He's throwing shots to the head, shots to the body. And Cunningham was tying him up, but he's not doing such a good job tying him up now. He's tying him up, but he's keeping him a hand loose and a hand free where he could use it and he's landing shot with that hand.
There's the bell end in round number 7, and the pattern of this fight has changed dramatically from the early rounds. I thought Cunningham dominated the first 4 rounds of this fight. Probably could have found one that you would have given to Wlodarczyk. We get a look at a replay of action in the corner, and Wlodarczyk, a left hand. The first one got home, second one missed, and he's very quick on the inside, also giving Cunningham some difficult angles to work against.
Certainly he's moving his head now when he gets to the inside, and he's looking for punches. He's not the target that he once was in the early rounds. He's moving his head around while he's looking for shots. He's getting in position where he likes to punch, and Cunningham is not keeping him off with the jab and tying him up when he gets close. He's not doing a good job of tying him up when he's on the inside.
Speaking of getting close, the fight getting close on my scorecard, I gave Wlodarczyk the last 3 rounds after Cunningham swept the first 4 on my card. Here we come with round number 8, and there's the bell. Getting into the championship rounds pretty soon, Glenn Johnson.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you know, that's the rounds that are going to establish who is the champion between the two guys.
Cunningham busy here to open up round number 8.
Yeah, these guys are keeping the pressure on. They you know, they're moving their hands a lot.
And that's why a lot of people, it's surprising, haven't embraced the cruiserweight division. You're seeing some excellent speed, some good footwork, a good quick pace, guys that can punch. And these guys both go about 190 pounds, so it's not as if they're small fries in there.
No, these guys are good fighters. Good uppercut shot right there by Cunningham.
There's been a steady pattern through the middle rounds. Wlodarczyk coming forward, Cunningham trying to avoid being on the ropes. When he does get backed up against the ropes, he usually ends up on the short end of the exchange.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he want to establish himself with distance and, you know, establish the jab. When the guy get inside, hold him and walk him back. so you know you don't get to throw those short punches on the inside.
Wlodarczyk coming forward with less impunity than he was earlier in the fight, maybe sensing that Cunningham's power has leveled off a little bit. As we mentioned, Cunningham never known as a huge puncher, and good short
shots
right-left combination. Yeah, that's good inside work by Wlodarczyk.
Yeah, I like it.
Cunningham
Nice.
from the famous boxing city of Philadelphia, PA, city of brotherly love. Joe Frazier, Bernard Hopkins, Matthew Saad Muhammad, a lot of great fighters out of Philly.
Oh yeah, that's a fighting town right there. When you hear a guy coming out of Philly, don't matter what his record is, you know he's a fighter.
And as is true with a lot of the great Mexican fighters, usually heart of a warrior.
Oh,
Coming out of Philadelphia. You don't see a lot of Philly fighters quitting in the ring.
No, not at all. I mean, the sparring that you get in Philadelphia is better than any fight you will see anywhere.
Ken Wlodarczyk nailing Cunningham in the corner. Nothing too telling. I don't think Cunningham, except for that one shot in about the 5th round, has felt too much of the power of Wlodarczyk. Hasn't been stunned, hasn't been wobbled.
Neither guy is being wobbled. They certainly good shots land from both sides of the fence, but no serious damage between the two. Diablo is certainly establishing himself, his style of fighting, a little bit more now in the later rounds.
I think Cunningham has abandoned that uppercut that was working for him early. We haven't seen any of those in the last 3 or 4 rounds. As we get into a little bit more of a wrestling match here in the closing seconds of round number 8. Again, the feint and no punches from Wlodarczyk, but he does get home a short left hand. There's the bell, end of round 8. Another interesting round. This matchup for the IBF Cruiserweight Championship of the World. That was a tough round to score.
Certainly was.
You can see where a lot of these rounds would be debatable on anybody's scorecard, depending on what angle you had in the ring. You see Cunningham doing some good work there with a combination, and then the short inside punching skills of Wlodarczyk. Maybe enough to give him the round.
Yeah, certainly. You know, I would give this round, like I did the 8th round, I gave it to Wlodarczyk. Cunningham certainly not doing the work that he was doing earlier on, and you know, it seems like everything is even up right about now.
Some difficult rounds to score. And if this one does go to the scorecards, it could be a real challenge. As we're getting set for round number 9.
Certainly, this fight is a close fight.
Round 9, scheduled for 12. IBF Cruiserweight Championship on the line here in Warsaw, Poland. Jeff DeForest along with the Road Warrior, who certainly knows about going to the pencil. Sometimes that can be the hardest blow to take when you're traveling to try and win a championship. As we have Steve USS Cunningham, who's traveled across the world to take on the hometown favorite, Krzysztof Wlodarczyk. Early rounds, all Cunningham, in my opinion. And the middle rounds, perhaps swept by Wlodarczyk on the scorecards.
Wlodarczyk is closing the gap now. He's getting a little bit more comfortable in his fight style, and he's certainly doing a good job.
The criticisms in the bios of Wlodarczyk appear to have been valid. He cuts the distance down, and he has a tendency to just pose a little bit instead of throwing punches. If you let his hands go more frequently, he might be dominating on the scorecards, especially through the middle rounds of the fight since round 5 when he changed the pace a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you know, is one thing Cunningham is missing in his arsenal is short punches. You know, he's through everything long. Everything is a wide punch. And his short punches is missing, and that's what he was able to catch the Diablo when he's on the inside posing. He was able to throw a lot of inside and short shots and land those punches.
And surprisingly, as Wlodarczyk has been trying to cut down the distance, Cunningham is finding himself missing and out of range when he goes on the offensive. But a good fight so far, almost dead even in our opinion. Wlodarczyk, same pattern. This has almost been a mirror image of the action since round number 1. Pace has slowed perhaps just a little bit, but Wlodarczyk trying to back up Cunningham against the ropes and then get inside and do some damage.
Yeah, Steve is throwing those punches, but like you say, he's missing the shots. And Diablo, he's not really landing a lot of punches, but the few that he throws, he's landing them. That's the difference in the fight.
Volume of punches by Wlodarczyk not necessarily there, but some effective inside shots might be the telling blows in this fight. Cunningham doesn't appear, Glenn, and you'd probably be a great judge of this, to have found his second wind at this point, which I think he's going to need as Weeks breaks him up. And once again, we have Wlodarczyk coming to the corner. Lost his mouthpiece without necessarily taking a blow. Weeks warning that in a close fight, he may take a point away if this happens again.
Yeah, definitely, and he should.
Final seconds, round number 9, scheduled for 12. And the action slowing just a bit.
See how wide Steve threw that shot? You know, you just throw a wide uppercut. Oh, nice
big right hand
uppercut,
that time by Steve Cunningham. And in a close round, that could turn out to be the difference.
Oh, definitely.
Round 9 in the books. Steve USS Cunningham, who perhaps was seeing this fight slip away on the scorecards, lands a huge hammering right-hand shot right at the bell to end round number 9 and maybe steal one. He badly needed, Glenn, to establish himself again in this fight, as he looked so good early. He was doing everything perfectly, and then found Wlodarczyk trying to catch up with him in the middle rounds and dominating most of those middle stanzas. And it comes back, and maybe that one home run shot in round number 9 might be the difference.
Yeah, well,
there you see it.
Yeah, definitely. He's a good shot. But, you know, it's hard for me to give him the round and just that one punch. He's missing a lot of punches. He's throwing a lot, but he's not really connecting those punches. And Diablo is throwing more shots on the inside and landing more. He's throwing fewer punches, but he's landing more punches.
Here's round number 10, set for 12. Vacant IBF Cruiserweight Championship is at stake. It was held by O'Neal Give 'em Hell Bell. And O'Neal Bell was scheduled to fight a mandatory against Steve USS Cunningham in the States. Had a problem with a tooth and ended up having to cancel, and the IBF forcing this matchup after Cunningham also had another bout scheduled for the championship, and that one fell out due to an injury to his opponent. And here he is about a year later, finally getting his shot. We'll see if he's hungry enough to make it pay off. Travel a long way to try and capture a championship belt. He's unbeaten at 19-0, 10 by way of knockout. The hometown hero, Krzysztof Wlodarczyk, trying to put up enough pressure to deny Cunningham this shot at the title.
He just, Cunningham just need to throw shorter punches. He's over punching, and those punches take a lot of energy. And I believe that he's not going to catch his second win like that. He's just going to get more tired and more tired.
Both fighters in great condition for this fight. The pace has been swift throughout. And while Wlodarczyk isn't throwing a tremendous number of punches, exerting a lot of energy, and these exchanges have been crisp. Halfway through round number 10. Two guys looking for their first championship belt on the world scale. And Cunningham perhaps finding a second wind and now starting to land some of those looping punches from the outside.
Yeah, that was a nice looping right hand. He land on the top of the head, and we'd like to see him get his jab together. He's throwing the jab from his knees basically, and he's going to get hit with right hand over the top.
It's become apparent that if he can keep Wlodarczyk off of him, he's the more effective fighter in the center of the ring. Wlodarczyk's big success has come when he's backed up Cunningham into a corner, or Cunningham's allowed himself to be backed up, and then Wlodarczyk has been effective with short inside punches, not necessarily in successive combinations, but a left and a right. Maybe it's been enough to win him a few rounds in his fight.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, these rounds are close rounds, but the difference going to be him landing the jab and landing right hand from the outside, because it's too late for him to learn to throw short punches on the inside in the fight if he didn't already have that in his arsenal.
Good job by Cunningham of resurrecting his game plan here in round number 10. Coming back from a series of rounds where he allowed Wlodarczyk to be the boss in the center of the ring and along the ropes. Good left hand there by Wlodarczyk to close it out, but another difficult round to score, Glenn Johnson.
Yeah, definitely. But I'm going to give this round to Cunningham because they land a few punches from the outside, and that's something he hasn't been doing for quite a while in this fight. So he's coming back to doing some stuff that he was doing earlier.
Championship hanging in the balance perhaps in these final 2 rounds. If Cunningham looks a little fatigued, he has every right to be. He's been on the go, on the move the entire fight. And you get a look at Wlodarczyk, who doesn't appear to be any the worse for wear. Maybe a little bit low on that body shot, but a nice combination by Cunningham. And very close to a clash of heads in there, which could be dangerous at this stage.
Yeah, certainly. That's the last thing you want when you're so close to finishing the fight, is to get an accidental headbutt and cause a cut. That's not a good feeling knowing that you almost finished the fight.
A lot of intrigue as we get into round number 11, scheduled for 12. IBF Cruiserweight Championship of the World at stake. Steve Cunningham, the busier of the 2 fighters right now in the center of the ring in the red trunks with the USA emblazoned, or USS. And Krzysztof Wlodarczyk in the blue trunks. He's been stalking the pace throughout this fight since the opening moments of round number 1. Neither fighter down, neither fighter's been cut or marked, and neither fighter's really been staggered in this fight. Again, Wlodarczyk, good job on the inside with some counterpunching. As you said, Glenn, Cunningham's hands have been held extremely low, and when he does miss, Wlodarczyk trying to capitalize.
Yeah, certainly. He tried to throw some short punches there, which is a good thing. That's what's been missing in his arsenal throughout this fight. He have the long punches down, but the short punches, he need to work on, get those punches where he could land those on the inside.
A little less spring in the legs of Steve USS Cunningham. Understandable. He's been on the go the entire 10 rounds and change right now. And once again, trying to set the pace of this fight with that left jab. Was effective very much so early on. And then he wasn't nearly as frequent with it in the middle rounds of the fight when Wlodarczyk perhaps came on.
Yes, certainly. You see he did a good thing there. He wasn't comfortable, and he just hold him and walk him back, let the referee break him up, which is a good thing. That's what he want to try and do, walk the guy back and establish his jab, and the guy get to the right distance.
Wlodarczyk just 25 years old, Cunningham 30. Surprisingly, Wlodarczyk has had more matches, a lot of those fought in Europe against some tough European customers.
Nice
left-right combination there, and Cunningham has no answer for it. Trying to pepper him with body shots, but nothing too effective out of Cunningham's arsenal right now. And that overhand right has been a big weapon for Wlodarczyk in this fight. Is it enough to win the fight if it does indeed go to the scorecards?
Well, you know, this is a type of fight that you really don't want to have in the guy hometown, where, you know, it's a close fight, and you certainly have the crowd involved in the fight, certainly influence the judges, and Cunningham got to certainly start to separate himself from this guy right now if you want to win this fight.
Well, if anybody would understand that principle, it's you, the road warrior, Glenn Johnson. I know you felt the pain of the pencil many times, especially in the early stages of your career.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, you know, it's the crowd is influencing the judges. You want to keep them quiet.
Good rally by Cunningham to close out round 11, and yet another difficult round to score. Steve USS Cunningham came out smoking early in round number 11, and Wlodarczyk caught him with a few shots later on. And just as it appeared that Cunningham was losing his momentum, he came back on in the final exchange, and you have to ask yourself, was it enough to give him the round?
Yeah, well, you know, these rounds are close. They basically toss up. It's all about who you like in the fight. But this is not the kind of fight you want to have in the next man hometown. You want to establish yourself, for sure. Cunningham appears to win in the fight, but
you get Wlodarczyk's corner, trying to rally their fighter. This one could be hanging in the balance right now. Could be decided in round number 12. I have Cunningham 3 points ahead in this fight. I gave him the last 3 rounds after giving him the first 4. And Wlodarczyk, I thought, swept the middle rounds, rounds 5 through 8. Crowd on its feet right now. Round number 12, IBF Cruiserweight Championship at stake. Steve USS Cunningham dancing around and throwing that left jab, keeping his hands low. Wlodarczyk continuing to try and come in and put some steam on those punches and maybe take Cunningham out.
Steve threw a nice little uppercut in the inside, but he got to establish his jab here, separate himself from this guy. Throwing punches from the outside, missing like that is not doing him any good.
And it wouldn't be odd for Cunningham to think that maybe he had this fight in the bag, and that could affect his strategy in round number 12. Although he is attempting to take the action to Wlodarczyk. Tying him up in the center of the ring. That can be a huge blunder, though, sometimes. We've seen it go both ways, where a fighter goes out and tries to engage his opponent, even though he has the fight apparently won, and ends up catching some shots and maybe losing a 2-point round and losing the title in the balance.
Yeah, you don't want to get careless in the last rounds. You know, so when your body is weaker, you're tired, probably dehydrated, you certainly don't want to take a blow. You want to go out there and establish yourself and be as careful as you can not to get hit.
Good combination there by Steve USS Cunningham. The crowd, the chant is Diablo, Diablo, Wlodarczyk's nickname, here in his hometown of Warsaw, Poland. A little more than a minute to go in this fight for the IBF Cruiserweight Championship, and you can sense, Glenn, that the title's on the line, and both guys know it.
Yeah, definitely. You know, this has been a close fight throughout the night. Both guys win a few rounds here and there, and you know, Diablo is throwing punches on the break and everything. It's not exactly a clean fighter, but he's not extremely dirty either.
Both guys showing signs of wear and tear here in round number 12, inside the final minute.
Uppercut on the inside by Cunningham.
And a left hand got home by Wlodarczyk, but he wasn't able to follow it up. Cunningham doing a good job of tying up Wlodarczyk in this round and staving off severe damage. And those short, quick punches, maybe enough to impress the judges. He gives a look over to the scorer's table as if to say, I think I have this one. 20 seconds to go here in round number 12. This is the final round. Is there a late rally in here from Wlodarczyk? Not able to cut off the distance. That long jab of Cunningham could be the weapon that brings him a title. We shall see. There's the bell to end round number 12. Good fight all the way through. And I thought round 12 was a good one for Steve USS Cunningham.
I think so as well. It's you know, he end around with the jabs, and he'd have Diablo stepping back there, retreating. So that's a good sign.
I have Cunningham winning this fight 116-112, 8 rounds to 4. I thought Cunningham swept the first 4 rounds and the last 4 rounds, and I gave, maybe generously so, Wlodarczyk, trying to sense what the judges might be thinking. I gave him all 4 of the middle rounds, but I thought that Cunningham landed more punches, was more effective overall, and while Wlodarczyk did do some good in the fight on the inside, I thought Cunningham won the fight. Road Warrior, you know all about this, the anxiety of waiting for the decision.
I think you won the fight, honest.
As Duquette has the same opinion as I do. Rich Duquette telling him he won the fight, but as you know, in these close bouts, you had a couple of even rounds. I thought Cunningham was impressive at the end of this fight.
Yeah, I have a couple of even rounds. I believe Cunningham win the fight. I have round 1 even. I also have round 7 even and round 11 even. But for the most part, Cunningham won more rounds. And I think Cunningham would win the fight.
Just a question of what the judges preferred. He had some good, short, compact punching by Krzysztof Wlodarczyk. He has the advantage of having the crowd behind him. Steve USS Cunningham, who's been waiting a long, long time for this moment, is going to see this one go to the scorecards. One judge from Germany, one judge from Poland, the home of Wlodarczyk, and one judge from the good old US of A. So it could be the German judge that swings this one. A very close fight, difficult to score some of the rounds. The pace set by Cunningham mostly in the early rounds. Wlodarczyk had his moments in the middle rounds, and I thought Cunningham, as we were saying, in need of a second win, found a way to reestablish the pace of the fight. He was getting off first, and I think he threw the bigger volume of punches. Neither guy really did any serious damage to the other throughout the distance of this fight.
Not at all. You know, they're even fighters, even match, and you know, it's a toss-up. I mean, you know, knowing how it is in Europe, fighting in the hometown, you have no clue who's going to get the decision, even though Cunningham might win the fight.
He's already making speeches, perhaps an indication that he knows something, showing his appreciation for the crowd. And Glenn, you've been saying it throughout the broadcast. The European crowd is about as polite as I've ever seen. I've been to a few fights where the Polish fans were turning out in the States to see Andrew Galata, and there were more fights in the men's room than there were in the ring on a lot of those cards. And these guys, there couldn't have been any more of role models for how to perform at a sporting event. The fans here were sensational tonight.
Panie i panowie, sędzia Charles Dwyer, 119 do 109 dla Cunninghama.
Here are the results. One vote for Cunningham. We can make that out.
Charles Dwyer scores this bout 119 to 109 for Cunningham.
American judge, big for Cunningham.
116 do 112 dla Wlodarczyka. Judge scores this bout 116 to 112 for Wlodarczyk. Proszę Państwa, i ostatni sędzia.
Split decision coming.
Sędzia Włodzimierz Krąpa 115 do 113
And then you have the declaration of the winner, Glenn, and you know what this feeling's all about. After the American judge gave the score to Cunningham, 119-109, perhaps a little bit out of whack with our scoring, and I think we both had Cunningham the winner. Two judges, 116-112, 115-113 for Krzysztof Wlodarczyk, and he is the new IBF cruiserweight champion of the world.
Yeah, certainly. You know, it's a close fight. Either way, I believe the other guy won it. Steve won the fight. But, you know, the fight like this, you really can't argue either way. It's a close fight. The guy is fighting in his hometown. He keep the crowd involved. And, you know, the judges get influenced by that.
Well, they say in football you get 3 points for the home field advantage if the two teams are even, and I think Wlodarczyk might have gotten 3 points on the scorecards for fighting in his hometown on this one. As you said, I don't know that there'll be any crisis over this one or any controversy, but Steve USS Cunningham, if he felt like he got